before the governor was removed from, his time actually expired, talking about Samuel Oton. And we are also seeing this very present one now who come in. We will learn that he's a reverend father. But the major thing is that Peter Mba, who seems to have been noiseless, as in not very effective in championing or trying to question, the excess killing of Fulani farmers in Enugu State, who has been silent, even though that the Ohanese leadership has shouted over and over again. But unfortunately, for these jihadists who have been ravaging the borders of Benue and Enugu. ESN a few days ago, stormed those forests, and from what we are gathering, it is not a story that we can put actually here in the public, but I can tell you they are being crippled in those borders between Enugu and Benue currently. Now, the youths are also, championing in a mass protest against the governor of Enugu State, and of course, those ones in Benue, because it looks as if there's massive exodus of Benue citizens down to Enugu who are already feeling secure, who are already understanding that this is the only region they can be protected. This is the only people that can stop jihadist killing in Benue State. And from what we are seeing now, it has been a battle for days now, and I can tell you the youth with the headers themselves are receiving different clashes, and I can tell you ESN is recording everything that is happening there, and the restriction is ongoing, and resistance is also ongoing. What I mean by resistance, a lot of people might not understand why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu actually saw depth deep into what is happening now, playing out within the Middle Belt, and of course the Biafran land. He foretold the story, but unfortunately, many people did not take him serious until it started happening. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being detained in Nigerian DSS custody today because of his resistance and exposure of the Fulanized agenda championed by the Fulani hegemony, oligarchy, who is bent on, though they have said the West is already conquered. If it threatens 50%, the remaining 50% is just going to be walkover. Maybe they might not be able to have a problem with Fulanizing, or Islamizing the Southwest, the Yoruba nation. But the major problem, according to whatever instruction that was given to their forefathers, great father, whatever, is that the Biafran land must not be allowed to stand as a Christian nation. The Nigeria-Biafran war, to be honest with you, was between the Muslim Christian and the Christian Biafran. And that's what we are seeing up to this moment, politically and otherwise. The fortification of the entire Biafran land bordering Benue, which is being seen as one of the main routes of which the entire jihadist nomadic Fulani herdsmen are targeting to invade the entire Biafran land, and of course do their criminality activities has already been blocked. All the grazing routes they have been mapping out has already been mounted by the unstoppable. They will not be able to tell you what the Alpha ESN has been able to make sure relatively there's peace in Biafran land. And we must say a big thank you to the governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, for rejecting that invitation extended to him by the Sultan of Sokoto to compromise the security and allow the Fulani to continue to ravage the entire Biafran land, and of course using some of the grazing routes as ID camps, for Fulanis who are already trying to make a way to the eastern part of the country. I thank God for the reorientation and consciousness of the entire youth of the Middle Belt, especially those in Benue, who has come out now and said they don't have any other place and that they are seeking refuge in Biafran land and that Biafra could defend them. Apart from what the British actually did to Nigeria as at that 1957, where they are able to fragment anything that has to do with Igbo nation. There was no there was nothing like Delta. There was nothing like all these nights we are having today. But what we have as at that time was Eastern region, comprising of major southern part of Benue and southern part of Cameroon. These are Biafran lands, and we must understand that. And there's no how we are going to cede any atom of that land to any Fulani agenda, to any grazing route whatsoever. And that is why you see the fear of the DSN has kept the Fulani oligarchy and those who are championing the jihadist movement to a very long arm, and they cannot be able to accelerate or assess the entire, let me just mention this next before I will move into what is actually playing on. The question is that the news, according to how it break, that the Southwest, the Yoruba nation, let me just put it that way, under the administration of Tinubu and some powerful Fulani politicians, is already in loggerhead over the continuity to hand over the entire eastern part of the country to the Fulani agenda by initiating and pushing the governors that are already Fulanized and tailored and implanted by the Sultan of Sokoto in the entire part of the eastern part of the country to continue to create an atmosphere of conquest. It is a political conquest already, we can say that, but there's massive resistance now. The people are standing up, the youths are standing up, and I say they are finding it difficult. The ravaging is going to stop there where it is now, and it can never. I know. Yes, there's a synergy, a powerful Igbo forces and leaders are gathering momentum already to see how they are going to deploy, a tactical team of the ESN to make sure that the Benue area is thoroughly defended. That's the picture of what it is, and that is what it is. I must say it very clearly that even at this point that the whole secret has been exposed, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continued detention has signaled that a time is going to come when we are going to decide whatever that is going to happen on the issue of what the Fulani agenda is all about. It can only not exceed, it cannot penetrate, no matter how they look at it. Yes, they tried. Also, Buhari manipulating the process of the structure of Nigeria, creating all manner of things. At the end of the day, Nnamdi Kanu surfaced, and Nnamdi Kanu becomes the face of resistance. And Nnamdi Kanu stood his ground till this very moment. And that is what it is going to be. Nigeria is definitely going to balkanize because I do not see what an average Fulani man or the North can offer Biafrans that Biafrans cannot offer themselves. That's the question we are putting out there on daily basis. What is the essence of unity? Over 1 million Biafrans, over 60,000 Yorubas are being killed on daily basis for being in synergy with the so-called Nigerian unity. It is unfortunate that it happens, and the leaders themselves seem to be taking another look and another direction. Why would the southern part of the country, Nigeria, be afraid of confronting this wickedness, confronting this oppression, confronting this conquest? Why would the southern leaders at this point in time keep quiet? And everybody, they seem to be ganging up against a particular race, the Igbo. Let me tell you, it will be unfortunate for anybody to try to ignite any form of, a political or war conquest against the Igbo nation. Currently now, this is not 1967. Go back to 1957 and discover what was Nigeria without the Igbo map. What was Nigeria without the Igbo? And that is where we'll stand till this moment. Until that is being properly defined, the quest for national unity will always be questioned by the entities surrounding the humanity. Igbos are Republicans and independent people in nature. And anybody that's a champion, like Christopher Musa now, that is saying that the 36 states of the Federation should fall into the grazing agenda. It's already a dead on arrival. The Chief of Army Staff Chief of Defense Staff should respect that, ranching or is the best form of controlling nomadic activities and stopping Fulani herdsmen activities right there, because it's a private business. You don't expect government to intervene in people's private business. Why is government actually showing interest on the thing that has to do with ranching, open grazing route, and all the rubbish that encourages the indigenization of the Fulanis? There will be resistance anyway, and that is what it is. At this moment, we still insist that, like what the Benue people are actually trying to do now, is that maybe they didn't foresee it. They didn't foresee what Ojukwu saw. They didn't see what Mazin Nnamdi Kanu was saying as at that time. But thank God that a lot of their youth, thousands of their youth, are regaining consciousness on a daily basis. That is what we are seeing. I see, the Igbos saw tomorrow, or Mazin Nnamdi Kanu saw tomorrow. They dare not, even though they have succeeded in planting Fulani Igbo governors in the entire southeast, and that is why none of them is speaking, none of them is condemning the continued killing of the Igbo farmers, our mothers and sisters in the farmland. You can see these governors at every slightest thing, they disappear to Sokoto, and the next thing you see them paying homage, entering unprecedented deal, or possibly apologizing. I've never seen where an Igbo man is being killed and all this kind of thing happen in the north. You see the northern governors and others going to the Igbo land to pay homage to Obi of Onitsha. We are not under the colonization of the caliphate. We are not under the colonization of anybody. The Igbo nation has become an entity before the Ekumeku kingdom, before the British even came. And we cannot afford to lose our republican nature because we want to be one Nigeria. That is not what we are, and that is not what we will be. And I can tell you that if you continue to trade in that line, then you are just telling the whole world that the time is up for Nigeria to have another look at another direction. And that is why there is massive campaign globally now, especially from the United States of America, against killings of Christians, especially in Nigeria. And Donald Trump, I can tell you, is making relevant policies and steps towards looking at issues. How can over 5 million Christians die simply because they believe, simply because they are Nigerian, simply because they resisted Islam, simply because they cannot be able to practice their religion in Nigeria? Is Nigeria an Islamic nation? That's the question there for everybody. But I can tell you, they have done the needful, and the resistance has continued. The exchange of warfare, yes, without it, we wouldn't have been here. I would say to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, the Lord will continue to open your eyes. The Lord will continue to bless you. The Lord for alerting the people on time, and for the sacrifices you have made to stop Fulanization and Islamization of the Biafran nation. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, my brother.